What's going on, everyone? Today is June 8th, 2021. This morning we learned about the passing of former New York Giants head coach Jim Fassel at the age of 71. While Fassel may have been best known for his time with the Giants, he was a pretty mediocre NFL coach. However, Fassel did find great success in the United Football League. As listed on his Wikipedia, he was both the coach and the manager, as well as the president of the Las Vegas Locomotives, known as the Locos, and won the league's first 2 championships while coaching for the team in the years 2009 and 2010. So throughout this video, we'll be talking a lot about the UFL and his 2 titles there. First, we mentioned the number from the headline. Jim Fassel passing away at the age of 71. This number stood out right away because this is the reverse reduction value of New York Giants. Fassel coached for the Locos of the United Football League, and notice how Locos also has a reverse value of 71. The Locos played their home games at Sam Boyd Stadium, which was also the site of their first championship in 2009. Sam Boyd Stadium is named after Samuel A. Boyd, a famous casino mogul from Las Vegas. Notice how the name Samuel sums to 71 as well. Fassel died on the date leaving 207 days of the year. This is the ordinal value of United Football League. In the standard reduction method, Sam Boyd Stadium equals 49. This is a very significant number to Las Vegas. Both Las Vegas and Locomotives both sum to 49. Their coach, Jim Fassel, was born in the year 49. Both Jim and Jim Fassel sum to 49. In Satanic Gematria, Jim Fassel also equals 409. The Locos' first UFL championship at Sam Boyd Stadium fell on a date with a life lesson number of 49. And check out the score of the game, 20-17. If you measure from the date of this game where Las Vegas won the championship to the 2017 Las Vegas shooting, you find it was 409 weeks earlier. Yesterday, Jim Fassel allegedly died of a heart attack, which sums to 409. Using the standard alphabetic order, the name Samuel Boyd sums to 117, and the UFL team that resided in Las Vegas, where he made his fortune, appears to be a tribute to him. The team's name was the Locomotives, which has that 117 gematria in Latin. This is also the value of both 13 and 54, 2 numbers we will talk about a lot in this video. Samuel Boyd was born on the date April 23rd, written 23/4 internationally. In the alphabetic order, Las Vegas Locomotives sums to 234. This is also the value of UFL in Sumerian. And notice how the name Sam Boyd matches United Football League. We'll talk more about the number 97 a bit later. But what's so interesting about this is that the Las Vegas Locomotives championship-winning coach, Jim Fassel, died in the year 2021. In Jewish gematria, Las Vegas Locomotives equals 2021. In English gematria, Las Vegas Locomotives equals 1611. Measuring from the second and final UFL championship the Locomotives won to the death of their coach, Jim Fassel, was 10 years, 6 months, and 11 days, representing the number 1611. This is a significant number. It's the year that the first King James or Masonic Bible was published. Sam Boyd was best known for his company Boyd Gaming, which opened the same year that his casino, the California, opened in 75. Boyd Gaming is currently 46 years old. Both the names Samuel A. Boyd and Boyd sum to 46, as well as 62. These numbers are found in the values of sacrifice, as well as Giants coach, 46 and 62. New York Giants abbreviated equals 46. The name Fassel equals 62, and he even had a life lesson number of 62. Fassel would then die a span of 46 days after Sam Boyd's birthday. The Locomotives won their first championship at Sam Boyd Stadium on a date with 67 numerology. With the reduction exceptions, both Locomotives and Sam Boyd Stadium summed to 67. Jim Fassel has now passed away on June 7th, the date written 6/7, which fell a span of 86 days before his birthday. And this pairing of numbers is something we see quite frequently. The phrases blood sacrifice and human sacrifice both sum to 67 and 86. The 67th prime number is 331. Both of the Locomotives championships were played on the 331st day of the year. Furthermore, Sam Boyd Stadium equals 86. This is also the ordinal value of both Las Vegas and the capital letter gematria of the abbreviation LV. And of course, remember how Super Bowl 55 or LV was played earlier this year? No doubt why we're getting something related to Las Vegas here and football. This sacrifice coding goes pretty deep with this story. Check out how the name Jim Fassel equals 94 in ordinal, which is the reduction value of ritual human sacrifice. That phrase has matching Jewish gematria with the number 33, and that's a very significant number connecting these two men as well. The Locos won their championship in 2009 on a 33-yard field goal in overtime. Consider how the name Sam equals 33. Fassel used to coach for New York, which equals 33. The 33rd prime number is 137. Sam Boyd died 137 days after Jim Fassel's birthday, and then Jim Fassel died 10,370 days later. Sam Boyd died at the age of 82. That's the value of Samuel Boyd in Jewish, as well as ritual sacrifice with the S exception. He was 30,218 days old. Numbers found in the gematria of ritual sacrifice in squares. The Las Vegas Locomotives then won their championship 6,160 days later, just like the gematria of ritual sacrifice in Jewish. Jim Fassel died yesterday, which fell 6 months and 16 days after the anniversary of the JFK assassination, and JFK equals 616. Now, whenever we're talking about the Las Vegas shooting, we're generally also talking about the JFK assassination, as those two events were extremely coded together. First, let's look at the reverse value of ritual sacrifice, 251. This is the 54th prime number, and 54 is a highly significant number to Vegas, which connects it to the JFK assassination. Fox News even gave us this headline, which sums to 504 in the alphabetic order. Jim Fassel died on a date with numerology of 54. This is the ordinal value of Vegas. Samuel Boyd equals 54. Boyd was born in Enid, Oklahoma, which sums to 54. The Las Vegas shooting was at the Route 91 Harvest Festival, which began 54 days before the 54th anniversary of the JFK assassination. JFK equals 54 in reverse. Remember the shooter, his name was Stephen Craig Paddock, which equals 540. His last name, Paddock, equals 54. And Paddock was born in Clinton, Iowa, which equals 54. Recall he fired from the Mandalay Bay Casino, which was exactly 18 years and 7 months old on that date. Both JFK assassination and Harvest Festival summed to 187 in ordinal, the homicide code. From the JFK assassination to the Las Vegas shooting was exactly 666 moons 6 days. Now, if you follow my work, you know that 666 is the primary number of the moon. Consider how Samuel Boyd was born on the date 423. That's the English value of the moon. The name Stephen Paddock equals 60 and 66, a tribute to 666. The moon equals an upside down 666, and it has matching gematria with 666. In the alphabetic order, 666 sums to 275. And when most people learned about the Vegas shooting, it was the 275th day of the year, October 2nd, written 1002. Curious that Jim Fassel's full name sums to 1002 like that date. Fassel coached both the New York Giants and Las Vegas Locos. New York equals 666. Las Vegas Locos equals 666 in the Fibonacci cipher. When you add 6 plus 6 plus 6, you get a sum of 18, a highly significant number to the moon. Consider how both the moon and the sun are both 108 times their own diameter from the Earth. In Gematria, full moon and geometry both equal 108 forwards and backwards, so does Euclid. When Sam Boyd Stadium was officially renamed from the Sam Boyd Silver Bowl, it was right after Sam Boyd turned 1,008 months old. His birthplace of Enid, Oklahoma sums to 108. The team Las Vegas Locomotives from the United Football League, both 108. And now we're told that Jim Fassel has died of a heart attack, which sums to 108. Now, the 18th prime number is 61. And measuring from Boyd's death to the date that the Locos won the title was a span of 6,161 days later. The Las Vegas shooting was the largest terror attack in the United States since 9/11. And it's no coincidence that not only is Jim Fassel connected to the Vegas shooting, but Fassel was also the coach of the New York Giants during the time of the 9/11 attacks back in 2001. His biggest game with the Giants was the NFC Championship game in early 2001, which fell a span of 7 months and 29 days before the attack. Fassel then died 7,209 days after 9/11. The cause of death was attributed to a heart attack, which equals 729 in English extended. So as we mentioned, the JFK assassination is definitely connected to this. When you measure from that date to the date of Fassel's death, you get a very intriguing 57 years and 197 days. This is both the ordinal and satanic value of moon. Now, aside from 666, perhaps the most significant moon number is 13, and it's very obvious to see why. Every couple of years, there's 13 lunar phases. The word moon begins with the 13th letter. It ends with the 13th letter in reverse, and it has a matching gematria with the number 13. While measuring from the 9/11 attacks to the death of Jim Fassel was a span of exactly 1,030 weeks. Furthermore, in Jewish gematria, World Trade Center abbreviated, WTC equals 1,003. Now, when you write out the number 13 as it's spelled, you get double gematria of 45. So I found it pretty interesting that it's also been 1,345 days since the Las Vegas shooting. The number 13 is very significant to Las Vegas as well. You may recall that Las Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock had this bizarre little 13 tattoo on his neck that the media talked about a little bit. Well, in gematria, Las Vegas equals 130. And Sam Boyd Stadium, where Jim Fassel won the UFL title, is home of the UNLV Rebels, which equals 130. Fassel's birthday even falls 130 days after Sam Boyd's. Stephen Paddock fired from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, which sums to 103 in reduction. The number 13 is the only number to sum to 99 in the alphabetic order. This 99 syncs up with Mandalay Bay, And notice how Stephen Paddock was born 13,099 days after JFK. His birthday, April 9th, was even the 99th day of the year. And he died in Paradise, Nevada, which sums to 990 in Latin as well. Furthermore, the 13th prime number is 41, Las Vegas equals 41, and the shooting was 41 days after the Great American Eclipse of 2017. The Mandalay Bay Casino turned exactly 223 months old on the night of the shooting. The word casino equals 223. Furthermore, this is a very significant moon number, as there are 223 lunar phases in the Saros, or eclipse cycle. In ancient Hebrew Gematria, the moon sums to 223. And on the date that he won his first UFL championship with Las Vegas, Jim Fassel was 22,003 days old. And we know this isn't a coincidence because the next UFL championship he won the following year was by a score of 20-23. So Jim Fassel died in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, earlier this year, I did another major video on another death of a person from Las Vegas, Nevada. That was Jeopardy champion Braden Smith. And Braden was Alex Trebek's last great champion before Trebek passed away. And I noticed some striking similarities with that story to this. Notice how Jim Fassel sums to 94 in ordinal, which matches Jeopardy. In the reverse alphabetic order, Jeopardy equals 122, which syncs up with Las Vegas, Nevada. My video on Braden Smith is linked below. You'll see I talked about those numbers. Braden died a span of 1 month and 22 days after his first episode aired. And now Coach Jim Fassel dying 122 days later. Braden Smith died on February 5th, the date written 2/5. The number 25 is very significant to the New York Giants, who were established in the year 25. Jim Fassel first joined the Giants just 2 weeks after they had won Super Bowl 25. Sam Boyd equals 25. The stadium is home to the Rebels, which equals 25. Remember, Sam Boyd was a casino mogul, which equals 25. Jim Fassel had 25 birth numerology. Braden Smith was born on the 250th day of a leap year. Fassel won his second Vegas title 2,500 days before the Vegas shooting. News of Braden Smith's death broke 205 days after Alex Trebek's birthday. The 25th prime number is 97, and that stands out because 97 is the year that Jim Fassel became the coach of the Giants. Sam Boyd's Boyd Gaming equals 97. The name Sam Boyd equals 907, like United Football League. And now Jim Fassel died 9 months and 7 days after his own birthday. In Gematria, using the reverse alphabetic order, the word death equals 97. Now, in my video on Braden Smith, I mentioned this curious 5-day total he had of $115,000. I pointed this out because 115 is the gematria of both Las Vegas, Nevada, and Nevada, where he was from. The word killing has double gematria of 115. And how interesting is it that from the news of Braden Smith's death on February 12th to the death of Jim Fassel was 115 days. Fassel also died 1 month and 15 days after the birthday of Sam Boyd. Boyd even died on the date 115 in the year 93. Nevada equals 115 and 93. As for the 798, the planet Mercury equals 798, and Mercury is the one planet that has matching gematria with Las Vegas. Now, on the same night that Jim Fassel died, the Brooklyn Nets defeated the Milwaukee Bucks. And of course, Brooklyn plays in New York City, where Jim Fassel spent his NFL career. And this matchup is pretty interesting. Notice how Milwaukee Bucks has matching gematria with New York, 1,485. New York also matches Milwaukee Bucks in ordinal. The Milwaukee Bucks scored 86 points in the game. Remember, this is part of the blood sacrifice, human sacrifice code. Las Vegas and LV both equal 86. This game had a 39-point victory for the Nets, and 39 is another significant number to both the UFL, which equals 39, and New York. NY equals 39. New York equals 39. It's called the Empire State. Empire is 39. Jim Fassel was even born 39 years after Sam Boyd. The number 39 is significant to New York for another reason. That's because the state of New York's first governor was George Clinton. And notice how George Clinton was born in the year 39. The name George equals 39 in reduction. The name Clinton equals 39 in reverse. And how funny is it that the second time Jim Fassel won the UFL championship with the Las Vegas Locos, look who played the halftime show. George Clinton. What are the odds? George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic. Certainly no coincidence there. But back to this basketball game, there were a total of 211 total points. And that's the ordinal value of ritual human sacrifice. So definitely some connections there. Fassel was 887 moons old when he died. Brooklyn Nets equals 887. This means it was also his 888th lunar phase. Locomotives 888. And notice how Brooklyn, New York also has that 223 we were talking about. Some more numbers connected to the sacrifice code here, but don't want to bore you too much as I've gone on for a while. But yeah, strong riddles, up and down with the United Football League, Sam Boyd Stadium, and Braden Smith. All right, everyone, that'll do it for this video. Thanks for popping in. Peace, love, God bless, and everyone is free to share, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do to help share the wonderful language of gematria and numerology, as we know that YouTube's algorithms aren't doing us any favors in that port. So, all right, everyone. We'll talk to you next time. See ya.